Why, thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Madhava Kunda Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Gopijana Balaba Giribanadari Gopijana Balaba Giribanadari Jasodanandana Vrajanaranjana Jasodanandana Vrajanaranjana Jamunti Yamunacharya Jamunti Yamunacharya Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Gopijana Balaba Imanadari Jasodanandana Vrajanaranjana Jamunati Yamunacharya Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Boom! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Boom! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Boom! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansi Padi Bhajakacharya Sthita Dishisham in His Divine Grace Abhaicharan Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Jagaguru Srila Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Kora Vaishya Brinda Ki. Nam Chai Shri Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem Shri Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Go Bhakta Brinda. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki. Vrindavan Dham Ki. Mathura Dham Ki. Dwarka Dham Ki. Navadip Dham Ki. Jagannathpuri Dham Ki. Jamuna Mai Ki. Ganga Mai Ki. Tulsi Maharani Ki. Bhakti Devi Ki. Sambheda Bhakti Vinda Ki. Srila Prabhupada Ki. Shri Shri Radha Giridhari Ki. Shri Krishna Sankirtana Jaga Ki. Go Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the divine lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Krishna Svadamo Bhagate Dhammiganadi Bisaha Kalana Sadasham Mesha Parano Konadodata Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaivam Narottama Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. So we are reading from the 7th canto, the 9th chapter, text 45. Yep. Oh, very good. We are synchronized. And Prahlad Maharaj is speaking. Has Hiranyakasipu been brought back to life yet? Yeah, after the brief surgical operation, which the patient did not survive, at this stage, has he been brought back to life? Not yet. That comes at the end of Prahlad's prayers. Huh? Yeah, I think that it comes at the end of the prayers, which would seem appropriate. All right. Yan Maitunadi Griyamedi Sukham Hi Tucham Kandu Yanena. Jeez. I'm going to see if I can do it with a bigger text here. The silent tide of time is having its effect. 7/9/44. All right. Now, what's up with this? For that would explain it, wouldn't it? Alrighty. Now, where were we? Sukham. Oh, that we did. We're on the second line. Kandu yanena karayor iva dukkha dukkam kripyanti neha kripana bahu dukkha bhaja kandutivan manasijam vishaheta dhira yanmaitunari griyamedi sukham hitucham kandu yanena karayoriva dukkha dukkam tripyanti neha kripana bahu dukkha bhaja kandutivan manisijam vishaheta dhira yanmaitunari grihamedi sukham hitucham kandu yanena karayoriva dukkha dukkam tripyanti neha kripana bahu dukkha bhaja kandutivan manisijam vishaheta dhiraha yanmaitunari grihamedi sukham hitucham kandu yanena karayoriva dukkha dukkam tripyanti neha kripana bahu dukkha bhaja kandutivan manisijam vishaheta dhiraha kandutivan manisijam vishaheta dhiraha yanmaitunari grihame sukham hitucham Yet, that which is meant for material sense gratification, Maituna Adi, represented by talking of sex, reading sexual literature, enjoying sex life, at home or outside, as in a club. Griyamedi Sukham, all types of material happiness, based on attachment to family, society, friendship, etc. He, indeed, tucham, insignificant, kanduyanena, with the itching, karayo, of the two hands, to relieve the itching. Iva, like, dukkha dukkam, different types of unhappiness, into which one is put after such itching sense gratification. Tripyanti, becomes satisfied. Na, never. Iha, immaterial sense gratification. Kripana, the foolish persons. Bahudukabhaja, subjected to various types of material unhappiness. Kandyutivat, if one can learn from such itching. Manasijam, which is simply mental concoction. Actually, there is no happiness. Vishheta, and tolerates such itching. Dhira, he can become a most perfect sober person. Translation. Sex life is compared to the rubbing of two hands to relieve an itch. Grihamedis, so-called grihastas, who have no spiritual knowledge, think this itching is the greatest platform of happiness, although actually it is a source of distress. Kripanas, the fools who are just the opposite of brahmanas, are not satisfied by repeated sensuous enjoyment. Those who are dhira, however, are sober and who tolerate this itching are not subjected to suffering of fools and rascals. Also, you say, sex life is compared to the rubbing of two hands to relieve an itch. Griyamedis, so-called grihastas, who have no spiritual knowledge, think that this itching is the greatest platform of happiness, although actually it is a source of distress. The Kripanas, the fools who are just the opposite of brahmanas, are not satisfied by repeated sensuous enjoyment. Those who are dhira, however, who are sober and who tolerate this itching, are not subjected to the suffering of fools and rascals. And Prabhupada's purport. Materialists think that sexual indulgence is the greatest happiness in the material world, and therefore they make elaborate plans to satisfy their senses, especially the genitals. This is generally found everywhere, and specifically found in the Western world, where there are regular arrangements to satisfy sex life in different ways. Actually, however, this has not made anyone happy. Even the hippies, who have given up all materialistic comforts of their fathers and mothers, cannot give up the sensational happiness of sex life. Doesn't mean like wonderful sensational. It means the sensation of, yeah. Actually, however, this has not made anyone, that we read. Such persons are described here as kripanas, misers. The human form of life is a great asset, for in this life one can fulfill the goal of existence. Unfortunately, however, because of the lack of education and culture, people are victimized by the false happiness of sex life. Prahlad Maharaj therefore advises one not to be misled by this civilization of sense gratification, and especially not by sex life. Rather, one should be sober, avoid sense gratification, and be Krishna conscious. The lusty person, who is compared to a foolish miser, never gets happiness by sense gratification. The influence of material nature is very difficult to surpass, but is stated by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 7:14, Mam eva ipapadyante mayam etam tarantate. If one voluntarily submits to the lotus feet of Krishna, he can be saved very easily. Now I'm going to need your help in a minute, Dravida. In reference to the low-grade happiness of sex life, Yamunacharya says in this connection,
Yadabadi mama cheta Krishna padara vinde Navanavada sadhamam yudyatam rantamasi Tadabadi patanari sangame smaryamane Bhavati mukhavikara sushtunishtivanancha.
Now this is Yamunacharya speaking. Since I have been engaged in the transcendental loving service of Krishna, realizing ever new pleasure in him, whenever I think of sex pleasure, I spit at the thought and my lips curl with distaste. End quote. Yamunacharya had formerly been a great king who enjoyed sexual happiness in various ways. But since he later engaged himself in the service of the Lord, he enjoyed spiritual bliss and hated to think of sex life. If sexual thought came to him, he would spit in disgust. Om Gana Tamarandasya Gana Gana Salakaya Jakshushu Militangena Tazare Shi Gurave Namaha. So this is the big lie. The big lie that we are all dancing to. Just like the lion jumps through the hoop of fire. And Prabhupada describes that he's actually, the lion is quite proud of his mane, all of his hair. Everything's in the Bhagavatam. Where else would you find the psychology of a lion, that they're quite proud? I think they're called the pride of lions, but that may not be the connection. But he's very proud of his mane, and yet he risks it. Imagine it catching on fire. I think Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what is it when all the dacoits, their beards caught on fire? Where is that? It's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Was that when they attacked the Harinam party? When is it? It's also in the CC. It's definitely in the CC. But their beards all caught on fire. The Muslims' beards. We're off the track. Prabhupada said that, what does the jackfruit taste like? Prabhupada said it tastes like drinking sugarcane juice through a Muslim's beard. Only Prabhupada. So, the point being, the psychology of the lion is very fond of its mane, and yet it's afraid of the crack of the whip of the tamer, and so it jumps at its conception of great risk. Out of fear, it jumps. Or what is the other analogy? Oh, up here in Del Mar, and I've mentioned it before, where the surf meets the turf, the racetrack. Every now and then, and it happens at racetracks around the world, every now and then you get a horse that decides not to run. It thinks. The bell goes off, the gate opens, everybody races out of here as fast as he can. And why? I got this fool on my back kicking me, and I just wind up in the same spot. What do I get out of it? I get a little more hay. Forget it. I'm done. I'm not doing it anymore. And they say once a horse has that realization, they'll never race again. They're done. They're finished. You can use them as a stud horse. But once they figure out the game, that I'm going to knock myself out and come back to the same spot, forget it. I'm not doing it anymore. In the same way, we're convinced that this is such a wonderful thing. And it's the goal of life. People work so. Can you imagine trying? You know, cotton candy. Do they still have cotton candy? Still around? You got the the county fairs going on up here. What do they call it in Russia? Cotton candy. You know what I'm talking about? It's just sugar at a high speed spun. It breaks into threads, and they give it a little taste like bubble gum or something. I don't even know if it has that much taste. But the point is, it's just nothing. You put water on it, it's not just fluff, it's just air. So in the same way, we're all running after something that's not that big a deal. It's not, probably it's like the itching, when you itch, it comes back, and you itch it a little bit more, and it comes back, but you don't stop your life for an itch. Or if you considered, this itch, this is the apex of happiness. Let me just itch and scratch for the rest of my... It's silly, One of the wonderful things about the Bhagavatam is it takes a clear-headed, hard look at material life. It's all fluff, like cotton candy. It's all just advertisement and promotion and anticipation. Anticipation is more fun. They've done studies, and they've done studies on so many things, that actually the anticipation of the vacation is more pleasurable than the vacation. Is there a verse? All right, we'll get it later on. But the point is, it's the anticipation. I'm going to do this. When you actually get there, there's anyway, it's a little off the track, but in the course of the painting business that Vaikuntha Prabhu and I had, and we helped support the temple, we gave money to the BBT, it was an honorable activity. And we were in the Caribbean, and we were in a place we drove past a place called Boston Beach. I forget what island we were on, some, insignificant something. And I think it was Jamaica, actually. And, you're coming through the airport, you're staying at a hotel or whatever, whatever you're staying at. We would usually try to rent a place, but for the first few days, And it was always advertising Boston Beach. And it was beautiful water and nice little waves. And, sometimes, it was hard work. We'd, once a week we'd take a break and go read on a beach, do a little body surfing, and, because it was hard work. So we thought, that looks like a nice place. White sand, fantastic. Boston Beach. You can Google it. So we were driving to an appointment, Vaikuntha Prabhu and I, and we saw a sign, Boston Beach, with an arrow. We thought, what the hey, we'll catch it on the way back. We went and met our appointment, and it was Sunday, so that no one's around in the afternoon, so you should take the afternoon off. And we driving back anyway, we went to Boston Beach. Looked great. Turns out that it is downwind of a sewage plant. So you can imagine, whatever you're imagining, it was worse. Then, on the white sand, the sand was very white, but it was super hot. Burned your feet to walk on it. And it was full of these little jiggers, they call it, like sand flies, that bite you and burrow into you. It was just, we noticed people going into the water with shoes on, tennis shoes. Well, what's that all about? It was all coral, sliced your feet. There's no question of body surfing. It would have been slice and dice. And then, on top of that, was full of thieves. Yeah, I caught one of them trying to steal my wallet. Cleverly hid in my shoe, like no one ever thought of that before. So the whole place was miserable. I said, let's get out of this place. Huh? It was in the Caribbean, in Jamaica, like I said, Boston Beach. So it was the anticipation. But the actual reality, it's not that big a deal. And we're jumping like a lion through people work. There's not the conception, Prabhupada breaks it down, that we're advanced. This is an advanced society, a culture, where there's the developing world and then there's the first world. In the first world, simple example Prabhupada gives, that, with a kerosene lamp, castor oil lamp. Well, I mean, what is that? It's a dim light. You have to clean the wick. You have to clip the wick in the lamp. You have to, and the glass, you have to clean it every now and then because it's black from soot. And then I just flick a switch. I got 100 watt, off we go. It's a much better light. There's no smoke, no smell. Jeez. We're developed. We're sophisticated. And you're prehistoric. Back in before the industrial age. But what Prabhupada said, children like a project. And it's true. So the kids, the man or the woman, when they go down to the river every day, or the kund, to bathe, they take their lota for bathing anyway. When you come back, you fill up your lota with some water, and you throw it on the castor bush. And you want to time that? Well, let's take the whole sequencing. To dip the lota, that wasn't even a second. The toss, maybe the thing took 2 seconds. Maybe 3 seconds. Whole thing took 3 seconds, right? To water the castor bush. Then the kids, like a project, you say, hey, well, you get a snack if you do this, or, whatever it is. And I'll let you use this crank machine. Kids love it. You pick the castor beans, you run it through the press, you sift it through some simple cotton cloth, and you got castor oil, and you put it in your lamp. Took you a few secs. Maybe it wasn't as bright as flicking a switch, but what's behind this flicking the switch? What comes from SDG&E? San Diego Gouge and Extort, where they've again raised the rates. It's extremely expensive. In the summertime, you got to spend the money for the AC. In the wintertime, you got to run the heater. So how much you say? And because of that, you have to go to the factory, and you have to work at the fender bender factory or the mindless cubicle at the shuffling paper office. Ooh, you got to pay and what's behind it? There's the dam and all the wiring system and these transformers and something. The whole thing blows out. So much work is behind it. And toss a little water out of your load on a castor bush. So my point is, the same thing with sex. It's a couple minutes. It's like an itch. And then the woman gets pregnant. Then you got to take care of the kid. Or you abort the kid in the womb. You stamp it fetal tissue. And who knows the karma from that? Just imagine. We know from the 5th canto. So, and then you got to raise the thing, and then I don't know if any of you ever raised kids, but they always get something wrong. You got a toothache, or they got a headache, or they got a upset stomach, or they fall off the roof thinking they can fly. It's a huge trip. You got to get them through school, and they're not interested. They get a mix. I mean, it is one thing after. There's a saying in Arkansas, when you say, oh, it's one thing or another, they say, if it's not one thing, it's another. Their answer is no, it's both. It's not just one, it's just one thing after. There's so much. And then what's a real heartbreak, if the husband and wife don't get along, which, is the majority of marriages end in divorce now. It's tipped over. It used to be about 50-50. It's now tipped over. You know, most people will get divorced. There was who was I talking? It was in whatever. I forgot where I was last place I was at. I was talking with a man who was teaches sociology, and he's kind of a reality check. He's a nice man. It was L.A. at the Krishna house in L.A. So the guy said, he asked the students, how many of you plan on getting married? These are young college students, freshmen in college. How many of you plan on getting married? Everybody raised their hand. Almost everybody. There were a few intelligent people, but the most people raised their hand. They're on the conveyor belt. There's the married men laugh. How many of you plan to get? Everybody raised their hand. He said, how many of you plan on getting divorced? Nobody. Nobody raised their hand. But the statistics, what they say, numbers don't lie. The statistics show that more than 50% of you will get married, will get divorced. But nobody's preparing for that. Everybody thinks it's going to work out just great. And if you have kids, I mean, because we're talking about the one incident, which it's like an iceberg, you know, you just see the top and I don't know what the percentage is, 80%? It's quite large, 80, 70%, certainly 70% or more is below the water. What you're seeing is just the tip, they say the tip of the iceberg. So similarly, the little bit of sex, a little scratch, you know, but what's behind it all? What's the weight of the whole thing? So I'm trying to give a few examples. One gets married, you have a kid, you get divorced. You love the kid, but you can't, you know, can't live with him, can't live without him, you know, as far as marriage. And then you got your whole life. You got to fight with this person. Or, you know, try to work it out or tolerate. And in so many various ways, it causes grief. That little bit of itch causes, and what to speak if you got to maintain the thing. Prabhupada says for the marriage to work, the wife wants to see 6 things. I think we talked about it last time. Nice house, nice clothes, nice food, jewelry, good children, and an aristocratic position. You have to be able to say, well, my husband is the top bottle washer at the fender bender factory. Oh, well, your husband's only the second, you know? Well, just see. Huh? He just drives. Yeah. He drives the bottles. It's whatever it is, it's, you know, what's behind the thing. Prabhupada said, suppose someone invites you to this house and for a meal. And when you knock on the front door, they open the door, and you see a banquet laid out, all of your favorite preparations, savories and sweets and nice. Jamunapati Prabhu makes a fantastic, he's a very good cook amongst his many talents. Oh yeah, he makes an eggplant, paneer, tomato, sabji. It's just a knockout with some nice puris. So all that's laid out. But Prabhupada says, but behind the door, hiding behind the door, is a man with a club who's going to beat you silly after the feast. Do you walk in and oh, what the hell? I'll have a good meal before I go. Nobody thinks that. So the Bhagavatam, as I was saying in the beginning, lays it out as it is. That why? Why are we wasting so much? It's just a matter of having, as it says here, sufficient intelligence. But most people don't look down the road. They don't look at the full equation. They just see the tip of the iceberg. They just see the immediate result. They don't see the long product. And why don't they see the long product? Because we should ask that question. Why do people so willingly subject themselves to this? Why do they get on the conveyor belt? Why are they not with a pan balance analysis? Okay, what's the result of this? That's the, who said that? Did you say that? Oh, governance. Yeah. Well, what the hell? Why rain on the parade? You know, that's all there is. Just, you know, don't rock the boat. Because what is the use? Just, you know, leave me with some kind of stoicism that I just, life is a long, dry struggle. The French say, what is bread without a little bit of jam? Okay, it's dry, it's, you know, but you got to have a little juice, little something, a little savory. Because they don't know it. This whole thing of stimulus and response, Krishna says in the Gita, the contact of the senses with the sense objects, Kama Vega, Krodha Vega, Manasa Vega. Join us, don't wander. Good luck with that. The Buddha gives all the Vegas are the pushing factors. We are being pushed. Buddha, yeah, sit. There we go. Thank you. The tongue is on fire. This is Buddha's fire sermon. The eyes are on fire. The belly is on fire. The genital, everything's on fire. It's just burning. And, you know, fire, you want to put it out. So we're just trying to put out fires, and another fire lights, we try to put it out. That's the course of human life until finally, you know, you just have to kick over and surrender. The indignity is you don't just drop dead. In the heavenly planets, you go along in full shape, and then when the clock runs out, your 100 years of David, boom, you die. But here on planet Earth, there's a great indignity. You get old, and you gradually, you know, watch everything fall apart. So why? Why do they so willingly get on that conveyor belt and accept it? Because what's the alternative? And their only equation is senses in contact with sense objects. There's an itch, and I scratch it. There's stimulus, there's response. There's pain, and there's momentary relief. That's it. But what if there is a happiness that does not depend on that? Imagine the great relief. I mean, everyone's wondering, how do I look to others? There's and I want to read something else, so we'll wrap up. In Miami, they have a lot of skyscrapers, you know, tall apartment buildings. Especially in that, what is it, you know, along the coast there. Yeah, Miami Beach. Yeah. So a guy built an apartment building, but he was cheap. Didn't want to spend money. So the elevator was slow, because the, you know, faster the elevator, the more the cost. So he's a miser, managing his money. Frugal, let us say. Parsimonious. So what to do? And people were complaining. The elevators are too slow. You know, it takes me too long to get it. Yeah, I'm going to move. And he said, okay, I'll take care of it. And he did take care of it. But does anyone know how? He did not move the speed of the elevators, and yet everyone was satisfied. What did he do? He put mirrors. He put mirrors in the elevator. And everybody spent their whole time preening. You know, they're looking, or feeling this, sucking in there. I've seen this happen, you know, because I have to go to doctors and it's, you know, whatever, and they weigh you. I've seen people get on scales and suck in their stomach. Is that going to make them lighter? I mean, what's that all about, you know? But they're just, you ever seen a bird preen itself? You know how they have to fix their feathers? And so, you know, I worked one time, it's a long story, baking pies for the Laguna Beach Art Fair. And the way, in the afternoon, the way the sun bounced off the big window, it looked like a mirror. So we were inside, you know, working on a long table, and, you know, and you would watch people go by, because the way the sun, you know, for about an hour and a half, it was a mirror. And you would watch people. They would walk and they would look at themselves in the mirror. And if they thought they looked good, well, they'd pick up their pace and, all right. And others, the majority, would look at their reflection in the mirror and look at their paunch and their sagging eyelid, and they're going bald, and they would droop down and be depressed. So, but what if we have nothing to do with that? What if we're not this body? And what if, you know, how do I look to the opposite sex? What if that didn't matter? You know, one of the symptoms of devotees is two colored socks, you know, because they're not really busy preening. I don't advocate that. Prabhupada said we should dress and then address, you know. But the freedom, I mean, my whole outfit, I don't have to wake up and wonder, what's in fashion? And do I look cool? I don't have to see the latest, you know, you see these billboards. I mean, I'll wrap up. But, you know, there's an advertisement right down here for a type of shades. They're called blenders. On cast. You can't miss the thing, you know. And I was looking for something else, searching for something online, and you get those ads that come up, you know. And the things are like $300, $400 for dark glasses, and you lose them, you sit on them, you know what I mean? So, why? Because I'm creating an image. If I have this, I will look. What if all that was out of our head? We didn't care about sex, we didn't care about, you know, image, we didn't, you know, we didn't care. I mean, you have to take care of your body. It's a vehicle for Krishna. So we'll end there, but the point is the Bhagavatam is the shining light. Have you ever been, of course probably not, but there's a fun house. I worked in a fun house. I don't know if they have fun house. It's up at, it was called Pacific Park. It was up right where the LA Ratha Yatra is on the Santa Monica Pier. POP, Pacific Ocean Park. Ever been to a fun house? You know what a fun, you walk through, it's got the mirrors and it's got the spooky rides. Disneyland, you know, it's got the, you know, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. And when you're a kid, oh, you know. Go in one of those things when they turn the lights on. Go to a bar, which obviously not as an imbiber, but as a, you know, field study. When the lights are turned on, you see the tacky decor, you see with people thrown up all over the seats, you see, you know, they keep the lights dim. It's the mode of ignorance, but there's a reason. The Bhagavatam turns the lights on. Here's what the body really is. You're like that stupid horse running around the race, or jumping because you're afraid of the crack of a whip, which is meaningless. It's not going to do it. So, and the cornerstone of the whole thing is that sex desire. And if you can break that, Prabhupada said, what is the measure of a Brahman's strength? You got those guys, usually from Bulgaria, you know, the weightlifters, I don't know what it is about Bulgaria, but in the Olympics. And those guys are, what do they call it? Free, when you just lift the thing up? And what do they call those? What are those? What are they called? Barbell, that's it. I mean, those things, 500 pounds, 1,000 pounds. Oh my God. You know, I can barely lift the Bhagavatam, you know, in my condition, you know. So how do you measure person? The Olympics is all skill and strength, and measure the feats of men and women. What is the measure of a Brahman's strength? What is the goal of Gurukula? Prabhupada says. Anyone know? Tolerate. If the strength of a Brahman is the ability to tolerate. Is it Parsha? Who was it? The Brahman and I'm trying to remember the story, but he had his guru. He wanted to. His guru would only teach Brahmins, and the boy didn't. The disciple, the aspiring disciple, did not tell his guru who his. He said, "I'm a Brahmin," and he lay his and the guru was resting on the lap of his disciple, and, you know, resting, his head's on the lap of the disciple, who said he was a Brahmin. The guru took his nap, woke up, and there was blood all over the place. And there's a type of insect, Prabhupada gives the name. It's also described in the Mahabharata. It burrows into your skin. And it had burrowed in, but this... Was it Karna? And he was cursed. Yeah. So, but the point is, the guru woke up and said, you can't be a Brahmin, because how did you tolerate this? So that's one type of tolerance. You know, you must be a Kshatriya, and therefore he cursed him. When you need it the most, your weapons will fail. So there's different types of tolerance. But the tolerance of a sadhu, of a Brahmin, is to tolerate all the issues of this world. There's so many, and it never stops. It's not one thing, it's another. No, it's both. So to train, Prabhupada said that one of the main goals of Gurukula, in addition to learning Shastra, is to learning to tolerate. And if a parent can teach the child to tolerate, it is one of the greatest gifts you can give your children. Rather than teach them to be a lusty, greedy, self-centered little weasel. You know, what can I get? Gimme, 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 I want. If you can train them to tolerate, that's the greatest relief. So similarly, if one can break this false chain of sex desire as happiness, then that is the greatest gift and the greatest freedom. And it comes by a cold analysis, two things. A cold analysis, given a clear-eyed analysis of what is really this happiness. And that is not sufficient. What is the other thing needed? Essential, mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. It really is the only way to see beyond. You got to have a higher taste. And that higher taste is based on learning duty, so many things. That's for another class. But when you have that, which has nothing to do with the contact of the senses with their objects, it's a whole other thing. The taste of duty, the taste of service to others, then you can give it all up. Otherwise, you can't. All right, so we are late, but I want to read just quickly about Yamunacharya, because it quotes him and how he was a king, so you wonder, how did he come to that status? I will pass these around. Let's start with you. We can start, but well, this is a painting of Yamunacharya and then the murti of him, and this is his base was Sri Rangam. He was the spiritual master of Ramanujacharya. And this is Sri Ranganath, because this is with the temple. All right, it'll make sense when I read this. Okay, we can circulate these. This is the lineage we come in. People that are not dancing dogs of the material nature, but deep thinkers and free. And when you're free, you can think about the welfare of others. When we're thinking about sex and satisfy my senses and gimme, 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 I want, your heart just shrinks. It becomes like a little hard stone coal, black-hearted coal. And if you can become free from that, you can think about others. My problems are solved. I'm going back to Godhead. Only time is separating. What about these others? We're talking about Prahlad Maharaj. What about these other fools and rascals? Okay, so he was known as Alabandhara, which means the conqueror. And you'll find out why in a minute. He was born in Madurai, South India. His headquarters was in Srirangam, which is in Tamil Nadu. That's what you're hearing about there. He was born in around 918, in the early 10th century. He had a sweet voice, gentle nature, and everything he heard, he learned almost immediately. He was a very quick learner. Soon he became the best student in class and the favorite of his spiritual master. His spiritual master had been defeated in a debate. You know, just like that, who was it? Keshava Kashmiri, who was, a Rup Narayan. These scholars would travel around, challenge to a debate. People, at least they were honest now. Now they just... But if you were defeated, you became the disciple of the person defeating you. Or, in this case, if you were defeated, you had to pay a tax. You charged a tax by the one who defeated you. So, Yamunacharya's teacher had been defeated. So, the scholar who defeated him sent one of his students, I guess it was an annual thing, to collect the tax. Yamunacharya's teacher was not there, was not in the ashram. He was the only one there. And the agent, the student of the scholar charging the tax, spoke very dismissively. Oh, my guru defeated your guru, and this and that. It may well have been that, like, the Goswamis just signed the thing just to get rid of the person, So Yamunacharya did not like that his spiritual master was being spoken in this way. So he said, no, we're not going to pay you. I challenge you. He was 12 years old at the time. He said, I'll challenge you. So everyone was shocked. This 12-year-old boy was challenging this great scholar. He came to the attention of the local king, the Pandya kingdom in South India. So they're not watching Bollywood movies. This was the entertainment. So in the king's court, they came for the debate. And there's this 12-year-old, sweet, gentle. His nature was very gentle. Sweet, gentle, but he dared to challenge this scholar, and the big scholar swaggered in. The king said to his queen, as things are getting started, just as a side to his queen, the king said to his queen, watch, this scholar will play with him like a cat plays with a mouse. He's just a small boy, and the scholar's like a cat, and the boy's like a little mouse, And the queen replied, a small spark can burn down a whole house. Maybe small, but, you don't know what's going to happen. So they had said, the king said, I'll wager you. So the king bet half his kingdom. If he wagered with the queen, the king wagered with the queen that if this 12-year-old boy, Yamunacharya, defeats the scholar, I'll give up half my kingdom. So sure enough, it's a whole description. He asked 3 questions. Each one completely stumped the scholar. And then The scholar said, all right, but do you know the answer? Okay, fine. I don't know the answers. But let's see if you'll only defeat me if you know the answers. So the 3 questions that no one could answer, then Yamunacharya turned around and answered them so convincingly that the scholar was stunned and accepted defeat. So the king gave half his kingdom to Yamunacharya. That's how Yamunacharya became a king. And he was given the name Alabandhara, which means the conqueror. But the queen, obviously intelligent, the queen said, actually, you call him the conqueror, but he's conquered my heart, and she became his disciple. So that's, now, how did he become Yamunacharya? He was in a king, he was enjoying, he got sidetracked, enjoying sex like anything. What happened? So what happened is that his teacher was sad that he'd been, sidetracked and lost. So he sent him, it was a secret, every day he would come with a special type of spinach. And the cook in the king's, this was a spinach that his spiritual master, spinach veg, that his spiritual master cooked for Yamunacharya when he was in the school. And all of a sudden, he started getting that rare spinach in a nice subji, his cook. So he was relishing. And then he left. Then the representative of his teacher left, no longer brought the spinach. Stopped being on his plate. King said, what happened? They said, well, there was this Brahmin that used to bring that rare spinach, but he doesn't come anymore. So the king said, find him. So they found him. He's living in the village. They found him. He came. And he recognized, when he came before, because hard to get the audience of the king and the attention. So he came before the king by this ruse of the spinach and then no longer spinach, and said, your grandfather has passed away and left you a great wealth. But you have to come get it. You have to come pick it up. So the Yamunacharya, as a king, went to the ashram of his, the village of his grandfather, met his spiritual master, and his spiritual master took him to see Sri Ranganath. That's why you've got the deity, the picture of the deity. And when he saw Sri Ranganath, the beautiful Vishnu lying down, he's about 18 feet long. He's big. He remembered his whole, like Ajamil remembered. He remembered everything and gave it up and took, the wealth was, his grandfather had passed away and put him in charge of the ashram. He inherited the ashram, became the leader, and that's how he became the great Yamunacharya, saved from a king. So that's a little, this is the line we come in. This is the freedom that they're offering us. So we can end there. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Yamunacharya ki jai.
Just to let you know, the was talking about.
Yeah.